So welcome everybody to this latest episode of Macklin's Take here on YouTube. I'm Andy Clark and Matt Macklin joining me as always. And we're looking ahead quickly to the fight this weekend between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. A Grand Slam unification for all four major belts in the super lightweight division. It's an absolutely huge fight. It's a magnificent fight as well. These are two fighters that both of us have seen a reasonable amount of. Taylor, obviously, everybody's been following him since the start of his pro career, very much aware of what he achieved in the amateurs. But Ramirez, too, who'll be more under the radar for British fans. We've seen him in his last two or three fights. And Matt, it's one of these scenarios where the US press and public fancy Ramirez, the British press and public fancy Taylor. It comes down to familiarity in many ways, but when you look at the overall picture and you take away that kind of home bias, which is what brings about that kind of viewpoint, they are very well matched.
It's a great matchup. I mean, all four belts on the line. Look, in recent times, YouTubers and different things, and these, legends having exhibitions of, from a profile point of view and people talking about it point of view. And then you've got the Circus of the World, a Fury 3 or Joshua Saudi, that happening. But this is a proper, bona fide, undisputed world title fight that's not really getting the spotlight or the column inches that it should be getting. You got two undefeated fighters here in their primes at the top of their game, going in against each other. This is what boxing is. This is what your proper boxing fans want to see. The best fighting the best when they're in their primes, not when they're past the sell-by date. So this ticks every single box for me. And you hit the nail on the head when you said most people are picking who they're more familiar with. But I'm familiar with both guys, but I do think that I do think Taylor will win. I am picking Taylor. I think, and I'll tell you why I think that. Because I think they're well matched, but I just think that Taylor's got a better defense. I think he's a bit sharper, and I think that'll be the difference. Ramirez will bring the heat, and he puts combinations together, and he's got that sort of Mexican style body shots combinations. But I don't know. I think that Taylor will be able to kind of break his rhythm. The southpaw stance as well might kind of nullify some of Ramirez's work. The left hook and that, he might not be able to get the left hook to the body off like he used to. That can break his rhythm then. We see it with Canelo sometimes when people have gone southpaw, even though he wins, don't get me wrong, Canelo, but, it can break your rhythm a little bit. Certain things don't work. And I think, Taylor's proven he's the real deal. And he's, you can see in his interviews, he's absolutely bang up for this. He's turned into nasty mode, which I like to see that, that bit of edginess. It shows you that the fighter, he's ready to fight. He's ready to have a fight. He wants it now. And I suppose Saturday can't come quick enough.
I think Ramirez has maybe been slightly taken aback by that. In the UK, we haven't been surprised by that because he switches during fight week and plenty of fighters do. And like you, I don't mind that. There is a line. I don't feel like he's necessarily gone over it with the way he's behaved and the things that he's said, but they are getting ready to fight. This is not a game of tennis. It's not a tickling contest, as Ricky Hatton would say. And Ramirez's side is saying, "Oh, Taylor looks rattled." Taylor's side is saying, "Oh, Ramirez looks scared." It's great. It just adds to it all during fight week. The scale of the achievement here for Taylor it's huge because only four male fighters have unified all four of these belts in the four belt era. Hopkins, Crawford, Usyk, Lopez. Jermaine Taylor did hold them all, but he won them all from Hopkins. He didn't unify them all. So that's what we're looking at. Do you think there's a chance, because I do, that Taylor, although I do think he's got the better all-round game, Ramirez is a very intelligent, educated pressure fighter. Do you think there's a chance that Taylor will fight Ramirez's fight more than maybe he should? That doesn't mean he can't win that style of fight, but I think there's a good chance that he will, because that's just how he is. He kind of did it against Baranchik for a spell, and maybe let him into the fight a little bit, but that's why I think this is going to be so good, because he's going to stand and have a trade up with Ramirez at some point, probably more than he should.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. You know what I mean? You have to get someone's respect. Sometimes, you don't want to engage in a fight because you're fighting their fight. You've got to box and change angles and make them move and keep them turning. And you've got to find a way to win. But I think in this fight, certainly in patches, Taylor will definitely stand his ground and try and get Ramirez respect. And I think he will get his respect because he can fight. Taylor, he's a box fighter. He's not an out boxer. He's not an out fighter. But he can sit in the pocket. He can tuck up. He can catch and counter. He can drill them body shots in. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ramirez underestimates just how good of a fighter at close quarters that Taylor is.
Do you think there's any chance on the flip side of that Taylor might possibly underestimate Ramirez? It seems impossible, doesn't it, that either one of them could, in a fight of this magnitude, go down that road. But it's always possible, as you just said there about Ramirez. It is always possible because from Taylor's point of view, I've described him as a highly educated pressure fighter, Ramirez, and that's what he is. But a lot of the time, and you know this way better than me, somebody can just turn out to be better than you think they're going to be when you're actually in there with them.
Yeah, I don't think neither guy is looking past the other here. Complacency isn't going to come into this because this is the biggest fight of both their careers. They're both undefeated. This is it. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Undisputed, 2 undefeated fighters. So that's not going to happen. But it's possible that they could underestimate a certain aspect of the other guy's game. Like, for example, it might hit harder than he realized, or he might be more difficult to catch than what you thought. Or, for example, I think Ramirez might be surprised at just how good of a fighter at close quarters Taylor is. Could Taylor be a little bit surprised that Ramirez is actually clever and can box a bit? Yeah, that could happen, definitely. But I don't know. It's a great fight. I don't think there's going to be a lot in it, but I do fancy Taylor to come out on top.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it ever since it was announced. It was the kind of fight where you just thought, God, surely there's no reason this one won't happen because they're both with the same promoter and it's happening. And it would have been better if it had been with a crowd, as would everything that has been without a crowd. Would be better with one. But it's just great to see it. It's great to see it.
Can you imagine if this fight was in Edinburgh with the castle in the backdrop in the summer? Can you imagine that? How good that would have been?
Oh, unbelievable. If he wins, Taylor, they have to make that happen. They have to get these fights for him at super lightweight. And people keep talking about moving up for both of them, actually, Ramirez and Taylor, if they clean up. If you have to, if you absolutely can't do it anymore at 140, then of course. But if you can, just stay there. Just stay there and just beckon in all comers, surely, and get these fights at these dream venues where you've always wanted to have them. From Ramirez, there would be locations on his list too, where he would want to, tick a box and fulfill something on that bucket list. That'd be great. And just before we go,
because let me just add to that. And if I'm Josh Taylor and I beat Ramirez, there's a lot of lightweights there looking to move up at some point, particularly Teofimo Lopez, massive at the weight. He's talked about moving up. Listen, what about Lopez at Madison Square Garden? If you're Josh Taylor, that's a box you want to tick.
Oh, God, yeah. Gervonta Davis is talking about super lightweight. He's got a fight coming up at super lightweight at the end of June against Mario Barrios for the WBA regular, that would be. So he's up for it. Ryan Garcia can't stay at lightweight forever because he's so young. Haney's the same. It's whoever wins this fight, I think, if they can do 140 still, just stay where you are because it will be populated with big names before too long. Just a quick one before we go on the AJ Fury situation. We did toy with the idea of convening for a chat about this, but we can't really add anything other than what's already out there. It would appear, though, I think it's fair to say that I wouldn't be surprised if over in Las Vegas, Mr. Robert Arum is leaning back in his armchair at Arum Mansions or Top Rank HQ, just having a little bit of a chuckle to himself because it would appear that possibly he knew all along that the outcome of the arbitration was more likely to go the way that it did than maybe he told some other people, because Eddie Hearn went away and got that other fight made, and he thought that it wasn't going to turn out like this. But I just get the feeling that maybe Bob knew that this was more of a possibility than he admitted.
Well, they were very quick to get things in place for a July 24th potential fight with Wilder in Vegas, weren't they? And listen, I suppose from Bob's point of view, he didn't put the work in, did he? Eddie Hearn's the one who's put the work in, and the time and the energy and the effort and all that. So from Bob's point of view, he's just sat back, really. Does he know? Did he know more? Listen, he's a clever man. Do you know what I mean? So it couldn't have come as a massive shock to him. These people, they're not, Eddie's just going on what Bob tells him. You know what I mean? But Bob ain't a stupid man. He must have known there was a decent chance that this could happen.
Yeah, that's it. Diplomatically put. And listen, I'm not saying that he knew absolutely that it was going to be Wilder Fury 3 and just wasted Eddie Hearn's time. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that just maybe, just entertain it as an idea. Just maybe he had an idea, Bob, that the arbitration was more likely to go the way it did than possibly he shared with others. That's all I'm saying. But it's been an eventful week anyway. We'll been a lot of people saying that it's another example of how boxing kind of tortures itself and cannibalizes itself when these big fights don't happen. And I understand that to an extent. And I know it's a bit unsatisfactory for someone to just turn around and just say, well, that's how it is. But if we get Wilder Fury 3 and we get Joshua Usyk, those are two good fights. And hypocritical though it is for me to say, because I have said in the past that I'm not interested in seeing Wilder Fury 3. Now it looks like it's going to happen. I am very fucking interested in seeing Wilder Fury 3 because you can resurrect that really easily, can't you? You see Deontay Wilder in the ring outside with Malik Scott doing stuff, moving around, and then all of a sudden someone just has to say, well, that big right hand hasn't gone anywhere. And you think, you're right, that big right hand hasn't gone anywhere. He could not, imagine if he knocked Fury out. These are the things you start thinking about, inevitably.
It's a 2-horse race. You know what I mean? And Wilder can fucking bang hard, so you never know. Listen, is Fury the favourite? Absolutely. The way he manhandled him the second time, would expect him to do that. Yeah, I would. But, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Wilder catches him and it's over. Definitely not. So, look, it's one of those things. It's not the fight we wanted, but it's still a big fight. And also Usyk, AJ. Listen, I think AJ beats Usyk. I do, and I think I'm big on AJ in that fight, and I think we still get Fury and Joshua at the end of the year. And as much as we think this is it, it's at the peak, it'll never be bigger than it is now. Maybe it will be a bit bigger at the end of the year. It's just,
Yeah, well, the end of the year gives it a much better chance of being here. I know that the Saudi Arabia contingent might come back in with the same money, and that. I mean, money talks, we all know that, but there's no chance of having it here in August, literally none, because you couldn't get a proper crowd. Whereas in November, December time, then you could. I mean, that'd be quite a quick turnaround if they both fight end of July, start of August. But anyway, that's all. That's all in the misty kind of misty future horizon.
If they both come out unscathed, then they could do it. End of the year.
Yeah, they could. Okay, well, we'll wind it up there because we've got to the end of the discussion, and also because my wife's just started printing stuff on the printer in the corner of the office, which makes quite a lot of noise. These are the conditions I have to deal with. These are the things I have to put up with. I can't escape anywhere. I'm not safe anywhere in this fucking house. I've gone right to the top of the house to my study to try and avoid outside influences and disturbances. Unbelievable. Anyway, enough of that. We'll catch you again. We'll catch you again next time.